The storm raged across the endless white plains, the wind howling like a beast that wanted to swallow everything in its path. A group of humans moved slowly through the snow, their heavy boots sinking deep into the frozen ground. They were explorers, scientists and soldiers, sent to study the dangerous planet, but now they were trapped in one of the worst blizzards they had ever faced. Their leader, Captain Ross, raised his hand to signal a halt. His visor was covered in frost, and he could hardly see more than a few feet ahead. The snow fell so thick it looked like the sky itself was collapsing. Behind him, the team huddled together, their breath turning to ice as soon as it left their mouths. "Scanner is picking something up," said Lena, the youngest of the crew. Her hands shook as she looked down at the device strapped to her arm. "It's faint, but it's alive." The words cut through the storm louder than the wind. Everyone turned toward her, eyes wide. In a place like this, nothing should survive. The planet's surface was known to be deadly, with temperatures that could freeze steel in minutes. "Are you sure?" Captain Ross asked, moving closer. He wiped the frost off her screen. The signal was weak, flickering, but it was there. A single heartbeat buried under the snow. The crew exchanged nervous looks. They were already low on energy and supplies. Stopping here meant risking their own lives, but the thought of leaving something, or someone, buried alive beneath the ice was worse. "Mark the location," Ross ordered. His voice was firm, but there was a shadow of doubt in his eyes. "We dig." The team dropped their packs and began tearing at the snow with shovels and gloved hands. The storm tried to cover the hole as fast as they cleared it, the cold bit into their skin, making their movements clumsy and slow. Minutes passed, then an hour, but still they dug. Then Lena screamed. Her shovel hit something hard, not rock, not ice, but smooth. Her hands brushed away the frost, revealing a curve of pale skin. Her heart raced. "It's a body," she whispered. The others gathered close. Carefully, they cleared the snow, away until the shape was revealed. Small, fragile, almost childlike. The figure was curled up as if trying to hide from the cold. Her skin shimmered faintly, glowing patterns flickering like dying embers. "She's alive," Lena gasped, pressing her hand to the girl's neck. A faint pulse throbbed beneath her fingers, weak but steady. The alien girl's chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. Captain Ross knelt beside her, staring. She was unlike any species he had studied. Her hair was silver, strands frozen against her face. Her skin carried strange markings that seemed to move like rivers of light beneath the surface. Even in this half-dead state, she looked otherworldly, almost sacred. "What do we do, sir?" one of the soldiers asked. His voice trembled. "If we take her, we risk exposure. If we leave her, she dies." Ross's jaw tightened. He looked at the girl's face, so fragile against the storm. His mind screamed at him to think of his crew, their safety, the mission. But another voice inside whispered that no human could walk away from this. "We take her," he said finally. His words carried the weight of a choice that could change everything. The team quickly wrapped her in thermal sheets, trying to trap what little heat she had left. The alien girl stirred faintly, her lips parting. For a moment they thought she was gone, but then a sound, soft and broken, escaped. Her throat. "Don't leave," she whispered. The words were weak, almost lost to the storm, but every human froze. Their hearts pounded. How could she speak their language, and why beg them not to abandon her? Captain Ross lifted her gently into his arms. Her glow dimmed and flickered against his chest. Like a lantern struggling to stay alive in the dark, he looked back at his team. "Move," he ordered. "We're not letting her die here." The storm howled louder, as if the planet itself was angry at their choice. The humans pushed forward, carrying the fragile alien girl through the endless snow. None of them spoke, but each of them knew, in that moment, that they had crossed a line they could never return from. Somewhere far beyond the blizzard, eyes were watching, waiting. The hunters would not rest until she was found again, and the humans, without even knowing her name, had just made themselves her protectors and her enemies' next targets. The outpost shook under the weight of the storm. The walls groaned, and snow piled high against the steel doors. Inside, the humans gathered around the strange alien girl they had pulled from the ice. Her small body lay wrapped in heated blankets, but her skin still glowed faintly, like a candle about to die. Lena sat beside her, holding a warm pad against the girl's chest. The medic, Dr. Hayes, adjusted a scanner above her, shaking his head. "Her temperature is unstable," he muttered. "I don't even know what normal is for her species, but if we don't stabilize her, she won't last the night." Captain Ross stood near the door, staring at the frozen glass. His thoughts were heavy. They had saved her, but in doing so, they had broken every rule of survival. They were low on food, short on power, and the storm showed no sign of ending. Yet he knew deep inside, leaving her behind had never been an option. Suddenly, the girl stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, revealing eyes unlike any humans. A deep silver glow, shimmering as if filled with stars. She tried to rise, but her body trembled, and she collapsed back into Lena's arms. "It's okay," Lena whispered gently. "You're safe now." The alien girl looked at her with fear, her lips parting. Strange sounds slipped from her mouth, a language they didn't know. Yet as she struggled, a single word formed clear enough for them all to hear. "Mother." The word sent a shiver through the room. Lena froze. Captain Ross turned and Dr. Hayes glanced at the others. If she was calling for her mother, then someone out there was searching for her too, and not all searches ended with mercy. Hayes adjusted the scanner again and the machine beeped wildly. The glowing patterns on her skin pulsed faster, moving in strange lines like rivers of fire beneath ice. "Captain," Hayes said, his voice low. "Her body isn't just alive, it's doing something. It's generating energy." Ross frowned. "Energy?" "Yes," Hayes whispered, leaning closer. "Her cells are reacting to heat, pulling power from it. Her glow is not just for show. It's like she's carrying something inside her. Something alive, something dangerous." Before Ross could respond, an alarm blared across the outpost. Red lights flashed and the walls vibrated. The sensors had picked up movement outside. "Scouts," one of the soldiers shouted, rushing to the control panel. "Alien patrols. They're sweeping the area." The crew froze, their hearts pounded. The girl's weak voice, her glow, her mysterious body. It all made sense now. Someone was hunting her, and they were already here. Ross snapped into command. "Hide her now." Lena and Hayes carried the girl, still wrapped in blankets, into the supply chamber. Her glow threatened to give them away, so Lena piled blankets over her, pressing a finger to her lips. The girl's glowing eyes filled with tears, but she didn't make a sound. The soldiers armed themselves, standing near the doors moments later. Heavy knocks shook the steel. A deep voice echoed through the storm. "Open or we burn it down." Ross opened the comm panel, forcing calm into his voice. "This is a research team. We've got nothing of yours. Move along." The silence outside was thick. Then, the voice replied coldly. "We're looking for a fugitive female, young, dangerous. If she's here and you hide her, you'll all die with her." The soldiers glanced at each other, fear tightening their throats. Ross's face hardened. He shut off the comm. "Hold your ground," he whispered. Outside, the patrol circled the outpost. Shadows passed across the frosted windows. The girl trembled under the blankets, clutching Lena's hand with surprising strength. Her glowing veins flickered, dimming as if she were trying to hide her own light. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, the shadows drifted away. The scouts left, but their promise lingered in the frozen air. They would return, and next time with more firepower, the crew gathered again, the silence heavy. Ross looked at each face. They'll be back. They know she's close. His eyes moved to the chamber where the girl hid. We've taken her in, and now we're in this fight whether we want it or not. Lena touched the girl's forehead. Her glow flickered faintly, warm against the cold air. She's just a child, she whispered. Whatever they want with her, it can't be good. Hayes looked grim. Captain, she might not just be a child. Her body, the energy, the glow. It's something bigger. She's important to them, important enough to kill for. The girl opened her eyes once more. Her lips moved slowly, struggling. The words came out broken but clear enough to chill their blood. "They find me," she whispered, her silver eyes staring at the door. "Always." Outside, the storm screamed louder, carrying with it the promise of danger. Inside, the humans realized something that froze them more than the cold ever could. By saving her, they had not only risked their lives, they had just placed themselves against a power far greater than they had ever faced. And the girl, fragile as a flame, was the spark that would ignite it all. The outpost was quiet after the storm, but the silence was not peace. It was the kind of silence that came before danger, the kind that made the hair on the back of every human's neck stand straight. Captain Ross stood at the main window, watching. The frozen wasteland outside. His breath fogged the glass. His instincts told him the scouts would return. And soon, the alien girl lay in the supply chamber, hidden under layers of blankets. Her skin glowed faintly, weaker now, as if her body was fighting a battle inside. Lena sat beside her, holding her hand, trying to whisper comfort. But the girl's silver eyes never stayed still. She kept staring at the walls, at the door, as if she could sense something coming. Dr. Hayes walked over to Ross, his face pale. "Her pulse is getting weaker," he said. "We need real equipment, something more than what we have here. Without help, she won't last long." Ross clenched his jaw. "And if we move her, we expose ourselves, those hunters will track us," as if his words had called them. A sudden vibration ran through the ground. The lights in the outpost flickered. The motion sensors began to flash red. Soldiers rushed to the monitors, their screens lit up with heat signatures, dozens of them, circling like wolves. "They're here," one soldier whispered. The door shook under a heavy strike. Snow fell from the ceiling. Another hit, harder this time. The crew armed themselves. Rifles loaded, grenades ready. Captain Ross raised a hand. "Hold, don't fire unless they break through." Then, through the static of the comms, a voice hissed, "Human outpost, you hide what belongs to us. Surrender her, and you may live. Refuse, and this place becomes your grave." Lena tightened her grip on the girl's hand. The child trembled, whispering something in her own language. Her markings flared, light pulsing like fire trapped under glass. Lena bent close. "What is it?" she asked softly. The girl's lips moved, struggling with human words. "Mother," she whispered again, then pressed a weak hand against her chest. "Key, city, safe." Lena's eyes widened. She turned to Hayes. "She's trying to tell us something. A place, a city maybe. Somewhere she'll be safe." But before they could think further, the door exploded inward. Metal screamed. Snow blasted inside. Figures in black armor stormed through, weapons glowing. Their helmets hid their faces, but their movements were sharp and merciless. "Fall back," Ross shouted. The humans opened fire, gunshots echoing in the steel chamber. Sparks flew as bullets met energy shields. The aliens returned fire, beams scorching the walls, the outpost filled with smoke, shouting, and the smell of burning metal. Hayes and Lena dragged the girl deeper into the chamber. She was barely conscious, her body shook, her glow dimming, her small voice broke through the chaos. No, they find me," she whispered. Her eyes rolled back. Ross ducked behind cover, firing again. He knew they couldn't hold. The outpost was small, their weapons limited. These hunters had come prepared. He shouted into his comm, "We need a distraction. Buy us time to move her." One soldier, Corporal Dean, nodded. His eyes were steady. He pulled out 2 grenades and gave a grim smile. "I'll draw them. Get her out." Before Ross could argue, Dean rushed into the open, firing wildly. His grenades flashed, the shockwaves throwing armored hunters backward. Smoke filled the air. Ross grabbed Hayes and Lena. "Move now!" They carried the girl through the maintenance tunnel, stumbling over frozen pipes and falling snow. Behind them, the sounds of battle raged, Dean's shouts echoing until they were cut off by silence. Lena held the girl close, whispering, "Stay with us, please stay with us." The alien child's glow flickered faintly, almost gone. Her lips parted and she whispered one more word, broken but sharp enough to freeze them all. "Mother, coming." Ross stopped, his blood turning cold. "Did she say mother?" he muttered. Hayes nodded, his face pale. If her mother is coming, then these hunters may be nothing compared to what follows. They reached the far exit of the tunnel, bursting into the open snowstorm again. The wind cut like knives, blinding them. The girl's glow shone faintly through the blankets, a fragile flame in endless darkness. Behind them, fire lit the outpost as it collapsed under the hunters' weapons. The humans had lost their shelter, their supplies, their safety. All they had now was the girl in their arms and the storm around them. Lena looked at Ross, her face wet with snow and tears. "What do we do now?" she asked. Her voice cracked. Ross stared into the storm, his jaw hard. "We keep moving," he said. "We keep her alive no matter what it costs us." The alien girl's faint glow pulsed weakly against his chest, and somewhere beyond the storm, other forces stirred, drawn to the fragile flame the humans had chosen to protect. They had made their stand. They had chosen their side. And now the hunters would not stop until either the girl was dead or the humans were. The storm never stopped. It screamed, across the frozen land, tearing at the humans as they struggled forward. The outpost was gone, burned to ashes behind them. Their only hope was to keep moving, to stay ahead of the hunters, and in their arms, wrapped in fading blankets, the alien girl lay weak and trembling. Captain Ross pushed through the blinding snow, his mind heavy. Every choice weighed on him. He had risked his team for this child, a girl who was not even human. Yet when he looked at her face, pale and fragile, he knew there had never been another choice. Leaving her would have meant leaving their humanity behind. They stumbled into a rocky canyon, the walls high enough to block some of the wind. The team huddled together, trying to catch their breath. Dr. Hayes knelt beside the girl, scanning her with his portable device. The screen flickered, displaying strange patterns that shifted and pulsed. Hayes frowned. "Her body, it isn't normal. These markings under her skin, they're not just decoration, they're alive." Lena leaned closer, brushing snow from the girl's face. "Alive? What do you mean?" Hayes pointed at the scanner. "The glow isn't just light, it's energy. Organized, coded, like a language running through her veins." As if to prove his words, the girl stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, silver light shining faintly in the dark canyon. She tried to speak, her voice weak, broken.
"Key?"
"City. Safe." Lena pressed her hand gently. "What city? Where?" The girl's lips trembled. She raised a shaky hand and pointed toward the east. Her markings flared brighter for a moment, then dimmed again. She collapsed back into silence. The soldiers shifted uneasily. One of them muttered, "She's leading us into a trap. We don't even know who she is." Ross shot him a hard look. "She's alive because of us, and now it's our duty to see this through." Hayes touched the scanner again, his voice hushed. "Captain, I think I understand. Her body is carrying something. Not just life, but knowledge, memories, maybe even maps. The patterns look like stored data. She might be the only one who knows the location of this city she keeps mentioning." The canyon shook suddenly. Snow and rock tumbled from above. Everyone ducked, weapons raised, shadows moved at the ridge. The hunters had found their trail again. "We can't stay here," Ross barked. "Move!" They rushed deeper into the canyon, carrying the girl between them. The ground trembled as blasts of energy struck the rocks around them. Sparks and smoke filled the air. The hunters were closing in. At the far end of the canyon, they found the remains of an ancient structure, half buried under ice. Massive stone pillars jutted from the snow, carved with symbols that glowed faintly when the girl was brought near. Lena gasped. "She's connected to this place." The girl opened her eyes again, silver light reflecting against the carved walls. She reached out, her small hand brushing. Against the stone, the symbols blazed to life, filling the canyon with golden light. The hunters froze at the ridge, their armor glowing in the firelight. They shouted in their own tongue, panic in their voices. They fired wildly, but their beams fizzled out before reaching the humans. The light from the wall created a shield, a barrier of shimmering energy. The girl collapsed, her glow dimming. Her body shook violently. Hayes caught her, scanning again. She's burning herself out. Whatever she activated, it drained her strength. Ross looked at the glowing wall, then back at the child. His gut told him she was more than just a refugee. She was a key, maybe to that city she spoke of, maybe to something far greater, and that made her not only hunted but priceless. The hunters roared, pounding against the shield. Their weapons sparked, their fury shaking the canyon. But the humans knew it was only a matter of time before the barrier failed. Ross grabbed Lena's arm. "We move east now." Lena nodded, lifting the girl again. The child's eyes fluttered open one last time. Her whisper was barely audible. "Safe. Hurry." The humans pushed through the ruins, guided by the faint glow of the symbols. Behind them, the hunters howled, trapped for the moment but not defeated. Snow swirled around the humans as they moved. The girl's faint glow flickered, like a fragile flame in the darkness. They had no food, no shelter, and no certainty. All they had was her, and the knowledge that she carried something inside her that others would kill to control. Hayes whispered to Ross as they marched, "Captain, if she really holds the key to a city, then we're not just protecting her life. We're protecting an entire civilization." Ross's voice was low but steady. "Then we'll protect her with everything we've got." And as the storm howled above, the humans carried the secret, chiled through the snow, knowing the path ahead was more dangerous than anything they had ever faced. For buried within her fragile body was not only life, but the secret that could change the fate of worlds. The storm thickened until the world vanished in white. The humans stumbled forward, half blind, their boots sinking into endless snow. The alien girl was wrapped tightly in Lena's arms, her faint glow the only light in the swirling darkness. Captain Ross led the way, his visor cracked from battle, his heart heavy with the weight of every choice. Behind them, the canyon burned. Shadows moved in the flames, the hunters still alive, still pursuing. The protective barrier had slowed them but not stopped them. Ross knew it was only a matter of time before their enemy caught up. Dr. Hayes stumbled beside Lena, his scanner, flickering in the storm. "She's fading," he said. "Her heartbeat is too weak. If we don't find shelter soon, she won't survive this blizzard." Ross clenched his jaw, staring into the endless snow. There was no shelter, no safety, only more frozen wasteland. Yet giving up was not an option. "We keep moving east," he ordered. "She showed us the way. We follow it." The wind howled louder, sharp as knives against their faces. The girl stirred in Lena's arms, whispering broken words. "Cold. Dark. They come." Her silver eyes opened for a moment, staring past them into the storm. It was as if she could see something none of them could. Then the ground shook. A thunderous crack split the ice. The humans froze as a massive wall of snow slid down the mountainside, an avalanche roaring toward them. "Run!" Ross shouted. They dashed forward, the sound of collapsing ice thundering behind them. The snow swallowed everything. Lena clutched the girl tighter. Hayes dragged another soldier to his feet. They barely cleared the open valley before the avalanche, slammed into the ground, burying their path in a mountain of ice. Breathing hard, the humans collapsed against the frozen rocks. The girl's glow flickered faintly. Her lips moved again, whispering one word that made Lena's blood run cold. "Mine." Hayes frowned. She said, "Mine." Ross looked east, and through the storm he saw jagged openings in the frozen cliffs. An old mining tunnel, half buried in snow. It was their only chance. "Inside now," he ordered. The humans forced their way into the tunnel, darkness swallowing them. The storm outside roared, but here it was silent, damp, and cold. Their flashlights cut through the shadows, revealing rusted beams, shattered carts, and deep tracks leading into the earth. But the silence was not empty. Strange sounds echoed. Through the mine, low growls and scraping claws against stone. Lena tightened her hold on the girl. "Something's down here," she whispered. The soldiers raised their weapons, beams of light shaking as they swept across the broken walls. Then eyes appeared in the dark, dozens of them glowing faintly, watching. Shapes moved, large and twisted creatures of the cave. Their bodies were covered in frost, their movements slow but deadly. The girl stirred in Lena's arms, her silver eyes opening. Her glowing markings flared brighter than before. The creatures hissed and growled, But instead of attacking, they paused. Their glowing eyes flickered, and slowly, they began to back. Away, retreating into the shadows, the humans stared in shock. Hayes whispered, "She calmed them. She controls them." Ross shook his head. "No, not control. She's connected to this place. She belongs here." The girl slumped back, her glow dimming again. The effort had drained her. Hayes checked her pulse. "She can't keep doing this. Every time she uses her power, it's killing her." The humans pressed deeper into the tunnels. The air grew warmer, strange crystals glowing faintly on the walls. The girl pointed weakly toward them, whispering, "Safe. Here." Ross touched the crystals. Warmth spread through his glove. He realized they were energy-rich. Perhaps what kept her species alive in such deadly cold. They set the girl down against the crystals, and her glow brightened slightly. Her breathing eased, but before relief could settle, the tunnel shook violently. Explosions echoed from the entrance. The hunters had found them. Their weapons blasted through rock, sending fire and debris into the tunnel. Ross grabbed his rifle. "Defensive positions," he shouted. The soldiers spread out, aiming at the collapsing entry. Beams of red light pierced the dark as the hunters stormed in. Gunfire erupted, bullets and energy clashing in sparks, the mine filled with smoke. Dust and screams. Lena shielded the girl, pulling her deeper behind the crystals. The child clung to her, whispering again, "They always find me." The words cut into Lena's heart like a blade. She held her tighter, whispering back, "Then we'll always fight for you." The battle raged, explosions shaking the mine walls. Crystals cracked, releasing bursts of light. The girl raised her trembling hand, her markings glowing brighter. The crystals answered, glowing in harmony. A wave of heat surged through the tunnels, forcing the hunters back. Ross stared in disbelief as the mine itself seemed to awaken. The girl collapsed. Again, her body nearly limp, but her faint glow still pulsed, steady and stubborn. Hayes shouted over the noise, "Captain, she's more than just a survivor. She's a key to this planet, to its power. If they take her, they'll control everything here." Ross fired another burst at the hunters, his voice hard as steel. "Then we don't let them take her, not now, not ever." The storm outside howled, the mine shook, and the fragile flame of the alien girl burned on. Carried by humans who had chosen to risk everything, and somewhere far away another presence stirred, stronger and far more dangerous than the hunters, a presence that was already coming. The mine shook with every blast. Dust and ice rained, down from the ceiling. The hunters were relentless, their weapons carving through rock. Their cold voices echoed in the dark, promising death if the humans did not surrender the girl. Captain Ross crouched behind a broken support beam, his rifle, hot from firing, sweat mixed with frost on his forehead. He looked at his team, tired, bruised, and running low on ammo, yet none of them showed fear in their eyes. They had made their choice. They would protect the girl, no matter the cost. Lena held the child close, pressing her against the glowing crystals. The warmth from the stone kept her alive. Her silver eyes fluttered open for moments at a time, her markings pulsing like faint rivers of light. Each time she whispered words none of them fully understood. Safe. City. Mother. Dr. Hayes crawled to Lena's side, checking her pulse. His face was grim. She can't take much more of this. Every time she uses her power, it drains her. If we don't get her out soon, she won't survive. Ross overheard. Him. His stomach twisted. He had lost soldiers before. He had seen comrades fall in war, but the thought of losing this fragile girl, after all they had risked, felt unbearable. Another blast ripped through the tunnel, throwing 2 soldiers backward. Their screams echoed as debris buried them. Ross swore under his breath. The enemy was closing in fast. "Captain!" one soldier shouted. "We can't hold much longer." Ross's eyes hardened. "Then we'll make them pay for every step." The hunters stormed in, black armor gleaming in the glow of the crystals. Their weapons hissed with deadly energy. Gunfire exploded again, bullets sparking against shields. The humans fought with everything they had, but it wasn't enough. One of the hunters broke through the line, charging toward Lena and the girl. His blade raised high. Lena froze, clutching the child tighter. Then Hayes moved without thinking. He threw himself between them, the blade piercing his side. His scream echoed through the tunnel. Blood stained the snow beneath him. Lena's cry filled the chamber. "No!" Ross turned at the sound. Rage filling his chest, he fired a full burst into the hunter, the armor cracking, the figure collapsing. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Hayes gasped, collapsing to his knees. "She must live," he whispered. His shaking hand touched the girl's blanket. "Promise me. Don't let them take her." Ross grabbed his arm, eyes fierce. "I promise." The girl stirred in Lena's arms, her silver eyes glowing brighter as she reached a small hand toward Hayes. Her markings pulsed and warmth spread from her touch. Hayes's pain eased for a moment. His eyes softened. "She heals," he whispered, but his strength still faded. The hunters regrouped, shouting in their harsh tongue. They fired again, blasts of energy cracking the crystals. The tunnel shook violently, chunks of stone crashing down. The girl sat up weakly, her glow intensifying. She looked at the humans, then at the hunters. Her lips parted. "Trust me," she whispered. Before Lena could stop her, the girl pressed her glowing hands against the largest crystal. The stone lit up like fire, and a shockwave of heat burst through the tunnel. Hunters were thrown backward, their armor burning. The ground itself trembled, forcing both humans and enemies to cling to the walls. When the light faded, silence fell. Smoke drifted through the air. The hunters lay scattered, some unmoving, others retreating in fear. The girl collapsed back into Lena's arms. Her glow nearly gone, Ross looked at her fragile body, then at Hayes bleeding on the ground. His voice broke the silence. "The price of protecting her is everything," Hayes coughed, his voice weak. "She's more than one life, Captain. She carries a future, maybe even a whole people's hope. If we fall, it will mean nothing. But if she lives..." His eyes closed, the rest of his words lost. Lena wept silently, holding the child and staring at Hayes's still form. Her tears mixed with the snow. The girl's faint glow pulsed against her chest, as if echoing the grief around her. Ross placed a hand on Lena's shoulder, his voice low. "We'll carry his promise, we'll carry her, and we'll see this through." The survivors gathered their weapons. What little remained. The storm outside roared through cracks in the tunnel, reminding them there was no rest, no pause, only the path forward. The girl stirred again, whispering in her weak, trembling voice. "Mother, close." The words chilled Ross to his bones. If her mother was truly coming, then the hunters were nothing compared to what awaited them. He lifted his rifle, his eyes fixed on the dark tunnel ahead. "Then we prepare. Whatever comes, we face it together." And so, in the heart of the frozen mine, with the storm howling outside and enemies circling like wolves, the humans swore again to pay the price of protection. No matter the cost, the fragile flame would not be left to die in the snow. The mine lay in ruins. Smoke and dust hung in the air. The humans stood exhausted, their weapons nearly empty. Hayes's sacrifice weighed heavy on their hearts, but there was no time to grieve. Outside the tunnel, the storm raged on, and beyond the storm, new dangers were coming. The alien girl lay in Lena's arms, her glow so faint it was little more than a heartbeat. Of light she was slipping away, her strength nearly gone. Every breath she took seemed to fight against the cold pulling her back. Captain Ross stood at the edge of the broken tunnel, staring into the storm. The hunters had retreated, but only for now. He knew they would return, stronger, more determined. And worse, the girl's last words echoed in his mind. "Mother, close." The team moved carefully through the shattered mine and stepped into the blizzard once more. Their boots crunched in the snow, the wind cutting like blades across their skin. Each step forward was a battle against exhaustion, but still, they carried her. Hours passed. The girl stirred weakly, pointing toward the east again. Her trembling hand seemed to know the way. Ross trusted her even though doubt gnawed at him. Somewhere out there, past the endless snow, lay the city she whispered about. Maybe it was a place of safety, maybe only a dream. But it was their only chance then. The storm shifted. The wind carried a sound unlike any they had heard before. A low, thunderous roar that shook the ground. The humans froze. Their eyes searched the horizon, and there, through the snow, they saw it. A figure enormous, moving with power that made the earth tremble. Its outline was blurred by the blizzard, but they saw glowing shapes like wings of fire stretching wide. The girl's silver eyes flickered open. Tears rolled down her pale cheeks. "Mother," she whispered, her voice breaking. The humans stared, fear and awe battling in their hearts. If this was her mother, then she was no ordinary child. She was the daughter of something far greater, a being of power beyond their understanding. The massive figure drew closer, the storm bending around it. Its voice echoed across the ice, deep and thunderous. "Return my child, humans, and I will let you live." Ross's heart pounded. His instincts screamed to hand her over, to save his crew. But when he looked at the girl's fragile face, her small hand clutching Lena's sleeve, he knew surrender was impossible. She had trusted them, begged them not to leave her, and they had promised. Lena clutched the girl tighter. "She's dying," she shouted against the storm. "If you wanted her safe, why was she left buried in the snow?" The great figure paused. The storm howled louder, its voice rumbled again. "She was taken from me. I searched, but the hunters hid her. They feared what she carried, feared what she would become." Ross raised his rifle, his voice steady though his body shook. "Then why threaten us? We've done nothing but protect her." The glowing wings of the being pulsed, the storm calming slightly. The voice lowered, heavy with sorrow. "Because to protect her is to take her burden. Her life is not her own. She carries the key to awaken this world, to rise or to fall, and those who guard her will be hunted without end." The words pressed down on the humans like stone. Protecting her meant endless war, danger without escape. It meant sacrificing their lives for a child who wasn't theirs. The crew looked to Ross, waiting. His choice would decide everything. He looked at Lena, at the girl glowing faintly in her arms, at the weary faces of his soldiers. He thought of Hayes, lying dead in the mine, of his promise, of the words that still burned in his heart. "She must live." Ross lowered his weapon slowly, his voice cut through the storm, strong and unyielding. "Then we'll bear that burden. She's under our protection now. If you want her, you'll have to go through us." The storm roared. The earth shook. For a long moment, the towering figure loomed over them, its fiery wings stretching across the sky. Then slowly it lowered its head. A sound like thunder echoed, not in anger, but in grief and acceptance. "You have chosen," the voice said, "and for that choice, the world itself will watch you." The figure dissolved into light, scattering across the snow like sparks. The storm calmed, leaving silence behind. The girl's glow brightened faintly, her breathing steadier, her silver eyes opened, filled with tears. She looked at Ross, at Lena, at all of them, and whispered, "Stay." "With me." Lena hugged her tightly, her voice breaking. "Always." Ross turned to his crew, his face hard, but his eyes burning with fire. "We've risked everything, and now there's no turning back. We carry her to the city, no matter what waits for us there." The humans marched into the quiet snow, the fragile flame of the alien girl shining against the frozen world. They were hunted. They were outnumbered. But they had chosen. They had chosen to protect her, to fight for her, to risk everything for a life buried beneath the snow, and in that choice they carried not just her survival, but the hope of something far greater than any of them could yet imagine.